We continue now at the top of Daf Memham and Beis and Meseches Bava Metzia. This is Bava Metzia Daf 45b. The Gemara is now in its third version of the Machlokas Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish in terms of what is the Machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. The Machlokas Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel in general was whether you can redeem Meiser Sheni onto golden coins, and the Gemara now explains that the Machlokas is as follows. Beis Shammai say it's problematic to redeem onto the golden coins. Shema Yisha Aliyosa, because maybe this will cause a delay in his ascension to Yerushalayim. The Zimnin de lo Malu Zuze b'dinar, because there are times that he doesn't have enough silver coins to actually be exchanged onto a golden coin, so he's going to wait till he has enough silver to exchange onto gold, and that delay is going to be problematic. Rashi explains Shema Yisha Ali Yosef, again maybe he's going to delay Ad sheyaspek lios lo sloim meiser Ad sheyagiu lidmei dinar tzav. He's going to wait till he has enough silver sloim that it's going to be the value of a golden dinar. B'shana shniya sheyimchar meiser shana habel. Wait till the second year, he'll sell the Meisers of the coming year. In other words, that's going to cause that delay. And so according to this understanding, we're understanding Beis Shammai as meaning you can't use golden coins because of a derabbanan, a concern of the Rabbanan that it's going to delay your ascension to Yerushalayim. That's what it means to say. Again, he's not going to ascend to Yerushalayim in a timely manner. Beis Hillel Savri and Beis Hillel hold, Lo Gazrina, we don't make such a gezerah, Shema Yisha Ali Yosef, that he's going to delay his ascension. Because even if he doesn't have enough silver coins to be a dinar zav, asuke masaklu, he is going to bring them up. He'll just bring the silver coins up to Yerushalayim. He's not going to delay. Rashi says asuke masaklu shein mason kovet shematein. It's not that heavy to bring silver coins. It's just a few silver coins, and therefore he's not going to delay. Avol beperos, but again, according to this explanation of the machlokas Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, avol beperos al dinarim. But let's say to redeem produce onto golden dinarim, divrei hakol mechal dinan. There, everybody would agree you actually are allowed to redeem the produce onto golden dinarim, and the reason is the kevan demirkavi, because since the produce is going to spoil, it's going to rot. Lo mashilu, the person is not going to delay, and therefore he's not going to wait and say, well, since I don't have enough for golden dinarim, therefore I'll wait till I accumulate more fruit. He's not going to do that. They're going to rot, so therefore he's not going to delay in terms of bringing them to Yerushalayim. That's the opinion of one Amora, either Rabbi Yochanan or Reish Lakish, within the Machlokas. And again, according to that version, the Machlokas specifically is, do we make a gezerah d'Rabbanan from silver onto gold, but from produce onto gold, there is no gezerah midrabbanan. The Chadam and the other Amora holds, again, either Rabbi Yochanan or Reish Lakish holds, afilu beperos al dinarim nami machlokas. It's even a machlokas when it comes to produce on golden dinarim, because again, you do have such a concern, a derabbanan concern, that maybe it's going to delay him. He's going to wait till he has enough accumulated to be able to redeem it onto a golden dinar. And Rashi explains, afilu beperos al dinarim machlokas, even produce on dinarim, it's a machlokas Beis Shammai Beis Hillel according to the other Amora, to pay Rinami Asil Shuya, because even with produce he may delay, and therefore there is again a gezerah midrabbanan. And so the Gemara continues, Bishlam alahach lishna. It makes sense according to the versions which said, the Amr demido raisa mishrashari, that said that on a doraisa level, meaning that's the version we just had right now. This version that we just had that said that on a doraisa level, golden dinarim are fine. V'rabbanan hu degazru in the whole machlokas Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, the whole discussion is whether there's a gezerah d'Rabbanan. Hainu dekatani yasa v'lo yasa. That's why the language that Beis Shammai Beis Hillel use is the lashon of yasa. You do it, you don't do it. It doesn't sound like it's something that is a doraisa problematic. It's just a question of whether the chachamim were machmir. Rashi explains, Hainu dekatani lo yasa, you shouldn't do it. V'lo katani lashon chilul, we don't say a lashon of chilul, dekasavar yesh chilul, because really there is chilul, meaning the redemption at a doraisa level really is good. It's just a question of whether you should do it, whether there's a gezerah d'Rabbanan. Aval chachamim hechmiru olav, again, it's just a question of the chachamim being strict upon the person. That makes sense why it uses that language. Elolahach lishna da'amr d'mi doraisa pligi, but according to the one who says that the machlokas here is on a doraisa level, mechalalinon v'lo mechalalinon miboile, it should talk about whether it's a chilul at all, whether this redemption is good at all, because it's a doraisa machlokas. As Rashi explains, ve'ein mechalalin miboile, it should say ein mechalin, meaning hachi boile lemisni. What it should say is as follows: Beis Shammai omrim ein sloim meiser sheni mischalin al dinarei zav. You can't have silver, you can't redeem it onto golden dinarim. Imishum kesef sheni, either it's because of kesef sheni, Sheni, like we said in the previous summit, you can't do money onto money. Imishum the Dava Piruhu, or it's because the gold is considered to be like produce, as we said on the previous daf. So again, whatever the reason is, it's a doraisa reason to have an Isser doraisa. These are both Isser doraisa. V'lo mitvasi b'kedushas meiser, and therefore the kedushas meiser is not going to take hold. It's not going to work. That's what it should have said. It should have said mechalalinon and lo mechalalinon. It shouldn't have said yasa and lo yasa. And the Gemara says that kasha. The Gemara says indeed that actually is a difficulty. If you're saying it's doraisa, the language is not so precise. And the Gemara continues, Itmar, it was stated the following machlokas amoroim Rav and Levi. There's a machlokas between Rav and Levi. Chadamar matbeya nasa chalipin. One says money can be used for a kinyan chalipin. A kinyan chalipin is a kinyan of exchange. One party gives one item to another party, and when that person takes the first item, a second item automatically is now acquired by that person who gave the first item. It's essentially an exchange. So the question is, can you give money as a kinyan chalipin? Let's say Reuven gives Shimon money as a chalipin, so automatically he's going to be kona whatever object they're talking about. One says that you can use money for kinyan chalipin v'chadam, and the other one says ein matveya nasa chalipin. You can't use money for a kinyan chalipin. And Rashi just says ein matveya nasa chalipin kin mefarash Rav Papa. As Rav Papa will explain why money cannot be used, according to the one who says it cannot be used, why it can't be used for a kinyan chalipin. That's what the Gemara continues. Amar Rav Papa says, my time of demand Amar ein matveya nasa chalipin. What's the reason of the one who says you can't use a coin for a kinyan chalipin? Mishum the daita atzura. So the reason is because the person is thinking about the image on the coin. Coins don't have value just because of the material of the coin. They have value because the government, the king, says it has value. But it happens to be the image on the coin that can always be nullified by the king, and that's why it's not good for a kinyan chalipin. Rashi explains, my time of demand do Omar, halekal memar de islay de Rav Nachman, damar lekamon ein konen ela b'kli. Now we can't give the explanation. What we could have maybe suggested is Rav Nachman said that kinyan chalipin is only with something called a kli. It has to be called a vessel. The na'olo ksiv, because we learn kinyan chalipin from the pasuk which says na'olo, referring to the shoe. So Rav Nachman says it has to be a vessel. That could be a reason why you can't use a coin, but you can't use that explanation over here. Because if that was the case, instead of arguing by a coin, they should have just argued about anything that's not a vessel. And obviously, within this machlokas amoraim Rav and Levi, everybody agrees that anything that's a movable object can be used for kinyan chalipin, liknos as shekenegdo, to acquire the corresponding object. They're just arguing when it comes to coins. And the reason Rav Papa gives is mishum the daite atzura. So the person is thinking about the image on the coin. The person who's giving over the item and he's taking the coin, he is thinking about the image. He's thinking about the image on the coin. Because a coin is considered chashav, it's considered to have value because of the image. And the image could be bottle, it could be nullified. Because the king can disqualify it. He can say there's going to be a new image on coins now. Therefore, it's considered like something that's not specified, it's not whole. Well, later on, we're going to say that something that's not mesuyim is excluded from kinyan chalipin, and that's learned out from the pasuk which says the word nal, which says the word shu. And the Gemara continues, Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah, HaZohav kones hakesef, if the Zohav, the gold, that can acquire the silver. Now, the simple understanding of that Mishnah, as we understood it when we learned the Mishnah, was that the party that takes the gold, that's like a Meshicha on the gold, and therefore he is now obligated to pay money, he's obligated to give kesef. But the question is, what do we mean to say over here? Do we mean to say that the kinyan is finalized and he owes money in general, or there's specific silver coins through a kinyan chalipin, and we're really doing a kinyan chalipin over here, and those specific silver coins are automatically now in the possession of the other party? That's the question. And so the Gemara now says, my love, is it not? But chalipin, aren't we talking here about a kinyan chalipin? Ushmamina matveya nasa chalipin. You see that a matveya coin, this is talking about a golden coin with an image on it, you see that a matveya can be used for a kinyan chalipin. And the Gemara says, lo no bedamim, we're just talking about the value for money, meaning to say you do the kinyan meshicha on the golden coins, and then it's not that automatically the other party acquires specific coins, it's that you now owe a certain value of silver coins. We're talking about a normal kinyan in terms of money. But the Gemara says, Yachi, if so, Hazov kones hakesef, it shouldn't say that the gold acquires the kesef. That sounds like there's a kinyan on specific silver coins. Mechayev mi boile. It should just say that by taking the gold, he's chayev, he's obligated to give silver coins. And so the Gemara says, Tani hazav mechayev. Well, that's actually what it should have said. It should have said, that's what we should read in the Mishnah, that the gold is mechayev. By taking the gold, he's chayev to give silver coins. And the Gemara says, Hachinami mistaber. It makes sense to say this. Midiktani save it because it goes on to say in the Mishnah, at the end of the Mishnah, it says, Hakesef eino kones hazav. It says that the silver does not acquire the gold. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't acquire the gold. Now, if you're going to say we're talking about again as a value, meaning to say when you take the silver, you don't automatically, it doesn't finalize the kinyan that you now owe golden coins. So hainu damrinon dava pira v'chaspativa. So that would actually make sense. We're saying that the golden coins are considered to be the produce, and the silver is considered the money. V'tiva pira lo kani. And if you have money, you take the money. That doesn't create a finalized kinyan. That would make sense. But if you say we're talking about a kinyan chalipin over here, tarvayu likni hadadi, so it should work in both directions. We would not make a distinction in terms of kinyan chalipin that it would work in one direction with one of the coins, but not with the other coin. So that distinction would not make sense. And furthermore, we learned in a brisa, hakesav eino kones hazav. It says that silver cannot acquire gold. Ketzad hauso machar lo esrim v'chamisha dinar shel kesef b'dinar shel zav. Let's say he sells him 25 dinar of silver for 1 dinar of gold. Ava b'shem mashach es hakesef, even though he did a kinyan meshicha on the silver, lo kanat sheyimshach es hazav. It doesn't finalize the kinyan until he actually pulls the gold. So he amrid b'shlama b'damim. So if you say we're talking about a kinyan damim, it's not a chalipin, but again the idea is you make a kinyan on the object, and then the person who makes the kinyan on the objects owes money. Misham hachi lo kani. So then again it makes sense why there wouldn't be a kinyan. Eli amrid b'chalipin. But if you say we're talking about a kinyan chalipin, so nikni. So then again it should work in both directions. The idea that it's not kona does not make sense. So the Gemara says elamai. But rather, what are you going to say b'damim? You say we're talking about the value of normal kinyan on an object. Ihachi ema reisha. If that's true, let's look at the reisha of that brisa that we just quoted. Hazav kones hakesef. It says the gold acquires the silver. Ketzad haso machar lo dinar shel zav be'esrim v'chamisha dinar shel kesef. If he sells him a golden dinar for 25 silver dinar, kevan shemashach es hazav. Once he makes a kinyan meshicha on the gold, nikana kesef b'chol makam shu. It says that the silver is acquired wherever it is. That sounds like not that he simply owes silver coins in general, but that there's specific silver coins that the other party has now acquired wherever they are. That sounds like chalipin. If you say we're talking about a kinyan chalipin, that's what the brisa means when it says the silver is acquired wherever it is. But if you just say he owes the value, he owes a certain amount of silver, it shouldn't say that he acquires the silver wherever it is. It should simply say the person is chayiv to pay the money. And so the Gemara says, Amar Rav Ashi says, Liolam b'damim, really we are talking about value. He just owes a certain amount of money. Umay b'chol makam shu, what does it mean any place that it is he acquires the money? It really means kamoshu, it just means as is, meaning kedo amarle, it means to say in the fashion that was specified. And the Gemara clarifies, if he says, I'm going to give you the money from the new purse, meaning the new coins, he can't now give from the old coins. Even though older coins are actually considered better than younger coins, newer coins, the reason why older coins are better is because they've already been in use. It's essentially been verified that they're good coins, but he can't. If he said he's going to give from the new ones, he has to give from the new ones. My time, what's the reason? Because he says to him, meaning the person who's getting the coins, he says specifically he wants the new ones, he wants to keep them for a long time anyway, so he wants the newer ones, and so that's really what the brisa means to say. It doesn't mean he acquires the coins wherever they are. It means he has to pay in the kind of coins that were stipulated. And Rashi explains, Kimos Shehi means Kimos Shehisnimo. He has to do whatever the conditions that they made were in terms of what kind of coins he's paying, meaning Me'arniki Chadasha, let's say from the new purse, meaning Shel Matbeya, Sloim Chadasha, meaning you have a new slime. If he said he specifically stipulated new slime, that's what he has to give him. Liyashnan Ba'ina, because the person can say, I want them because I'm going to keep them a long time till they get old. Sarachani Lahanichan Zman Meruba. I want to leave them for a long time. V'chadashim Nochimli. So I'd rather have newer coins, Shlo Yashchiru Yosimidai, so that they should not become too blackened. And the Gemara continues, Amar Papa says, Afilu l'man damar ein matveya nasa chalipin, even according to the one who holds that a coin can't create, it can't affect a kinyan chalipin, mi'avid hu delo avid chalipin, it can't create a kinyan chalipin, but aknuye miknu b'chalipin, but it could be acquired through chalipin, meaning if you take another object, let's say the other object goes from one party to the other party, when that second party takes the other object, the coins can be acquired through a kinyan chalipin. And how do we know that? Midi dahavi apirul Rav Nachman, it's similar to what what we find by produce according to Rav Nachman. Again, Rav Nachman said that kinyan chalipin can only be with a kli. It cannot be with produce. But Rav Nachman said, Pirul Rav Nachman, when it comes to produce according to Rav Nachman, lava fagav de'inu lo avdi chalipin, even though they cannot affect a kinyan chalipin, aknuye miknu bechalipin, they can be acquired through a kinyan chalipin. So tivanami lo shna. So when it comes to money as well, it's not going to be any different. It's going to be the same thing. It can be acquired through a kinyan chalipin. And Rashi explains, it can't create a chalipin. The coins can't cause that the other item should be acquired, but it could be acquired through a kinyan chalipin, kinyan sudar, meaning again a kinyan with a sudar. Let's say you're doing a kinyan with like a scarf, or metalton shekenegdo, or some other kind of metalton, kono so bechalipin. You can acquire the coins through chalipin. Once the owner of the coin takes whatever the other item is, so then the matbeah goes to the Bala Sudar, the coin goes to the other party. Similar to produce according to Rav Nachman, called davar she'eno kli, anything that's not a vessel, karoi pira legabe chalipin. It's called produce when it comes to kinyan chalipin. It doesn't specifically mean produce. Upligi Rav Sheshis Rav Nachman lekaman v'shmaitin. There's a machlokas between Rav Sheshis and Rav Nachman later on in the sugya. The Rav Nachman nal dafka ksiv. Rav Nachman said it has to be like a shoe specifically. She'ehei kli, it has to be a vessel. V'lo shum davar she'eno kli osa chalipin. Something that's not a vessel cannot create a chalipin. Umoduhu shekol davar shekeneged hakli nikna bechalip akli. But he does admit that the corresponding object can be acquired as long as the chalipin was done with a vessel. T'chsiv l'kaim kol davar, that we learn from the pasuk l'kaim kol davar. Al ma'afagav depira lo avdi chalipin liknos shekenegdo. Even though we see that produce cannot create a kinyan chalipin to acquire the opposite, the other object, niknahu bechalipin, it could be acquired with chalipin shel kli of a vessel. Mikevan shemashach balaperes as a kli, when the owner of the produce, when he makes a kinyan, when he does a meshicha on the vessel, niknu peiros lebal hakli, then the produce is then acquired by the owner of the vessel. Again, that is the chiddush of Rav Papa. Rav Papa is comparing matbeya to peira of Rav Nachman in this respect, that even though matbeya cannot create a kinyan chalipin, it can be acquired through a kinyan chalipin. And the Gemara continues, Meisvei, we have a question from the following Braisa, Hayomid Begorin, if someone is standing on the threshing floor, Ve'ein biyado mos, he doesn't have money with him. Omer lechaveru, he says to his friend, Hare peiros halolu nesunim lach b'matana, this produce is being given to you as a gift. The point of the Braisa over here is, he's trying to get out of paying the additional fifth when he's redeeming the Meiser Sheni. Rashi here explains, Ve'ein biyado mos, he doesn't have money with him. Ve'rotze lechalal Meiser Shelo, he wants to redeem his Meiser Sheni. Ve'herim b'pidyonu, he's trying to use a haram, essentially a halachic way, a halachic loophole in his redemption. He wants to redeem through a buying and selling process. He's selling it to another person, that way he doesn't have to pay the fifth. Because it's written in the pasuk, if he redeems his own meiser, chamishiso Yosef, he has to add a fifth. That's from his own meiser. But not if he's buying the meiser sheni from someone else. So if he can give the produce to someone else and then redeem it with money, so if he does that, he doesn't have to pay that fifth. So Omer lechaveru, he says to his friend Shuoavo, meaning his friend who is beloved to him, that person realizes this is all in order to get out of the fifth. He says, Hare peiros halolu shel Meiser Sheni, this produce of Meiser Sheni, nesunim lach b'matana, I'm giving it to you as a gift. Umikeven shekonen zeh b'matana, once he gets it as a gift, nasa harishon nachri etzlam, now that first person is no longer the owner, he's like a stranger to that produce. V'yuchal lefdosim below chomesh, he can now redeem that produce, that Meiser Sheni, without adding a fifth, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Mem Vav Amud Aleph.